Hey everybody. Looks like I'm live. Let's make sure that this is on there. Showing a um for those couple of you that tuned in last night and caught the live show. Um I did end up deleting it. Um I don't know. I just had some reservations about it just due to the subject matter of it. Uh, Partially feeling a little self-conscious about it, but also partially just not wanting to push the boundaries so far of things that I show on this channel. Um, Not that there was anything ridiculously out of control. I did get a message from Sleepy Reader. He said that he had the video in the queue, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And yeah, it didn't last very long. Anyway, so we're past that. We may talk about a couple of those books in this video, but I just wanted to kind of have a talk about some of the things I picked up today, and then also a couple of books that I read tonight, actually. Um, so continuing, uh, kind of just driving around when I went for lunch today. There's just the comic shop right by our office. Stopped in and saw he had a couple of books there that I wanted to grab from him. One of them was this plop number 22. When I came home with it and looked through it and kind of added things to the CLZ app to date, I noticed that I'm finishing this run, so I included it on the Runs to Finish 2018 number 11 plop. I think I need 5 more issues and I'm done that series. So that's kind of exciting. Um, looks like a great issue. Those of you who know the book uh, know enough that it's a damn good read. So you go plop number 22. The other one that I found, I've never seen. There's a couple of these issues of Quack that I do end up seeing around fairly often. This specific one I've never seen before. Good old Ted Richards cover. This is Quack number 6, and this is put out by Star Reach Productions. Of course, they did Star Reach. They did Imagine. What else did they do? Um, Cody Starbuck was the other one, right? The Howard Chaykin book. So yeah, nice to pick that one up. He's Ted Richards even has a story in here which is pretty good. Lee Mars is in here from Pudge Girl Blimp fame. Brunner has a story in here too. Was just talking to Johnny DaCosta on Twitter about Brunner, and how I don't know, his work has really grown on me. Some of this necessarily isn't necessarily my favorite. Um, there was a funny animal comics were a huge thing for me. Now it's up is more of the picking up these issues of Quack. They don't appeal to me a whole bunch. The main reason they appeal to me, it's part of Star Reach publication to grab those when I can. That said, sometimes there's some good stories in it. Like for example, this Ted Richards. Oh, Mr. DaCosta, you are here. Um, for example, like the Lee Mars and the Ted Richards in this one, I'll definitely sit in. Brunner, I'll flip through. But talking about Brunner, I was just talking discussing Brunner on Twitter there. Uh, Strange is where he kind of stood out to me. Then when I started going through the back collecting more underground comics, realizing that his name was in that area of comic world or comicdom. And I'm sure he also pops up in more too. It's just I'm not as well versed on the big two titles. So pretty good school. Another place just to get some supplies. I just needed some bags and boards. They have a section that's all hardcovers, soft covers, omnibuses, whatever else. This was kind of lying. These two books were lying on a stack. This Jeffrey Jones one was just there for $4. I've never seen this around. It's not in bad shape. It is kind of separating a little bit on the inside. That video is really choppy. I hope it's your end there. Anybody who's watching. What does that say? Dragon's Dream. I believe this is from 1977, and it looks like it's a collection of Jeffrey Jones strips that may have appeared. I don't know where. I haven't. All I've done is just flip through this. I haven't done any research on this particular edition yet. All this stuff is really great. I love all the minimalist work in here. It's dense read whatsoever, or the panels aren't even really dense with imagery. I see people popping in and out. I'm hoping that that's not. I'm hoping that's not due to the video quality just freezing up on your end. I'm gonna keep pushing forward anyway, as if it's going well. So, $4 for Jeffrey Jones, yes, please. There's no doubt about that. What else do we got here? And then the other one I picked up, again, when I see humanoids books, they're always really, really overpriced. Not overpriced, rather. They're just more money than I'm comfortable paying for a volume of this size. What are they usually? About 40 something pages. Let me just flip here. Oh, this one's 56. I think the one underneath was just 40. But again, there's discounters instead of $16 tag. So I read both of these today. I'm on a bit of a Jodorowsky kick again, as is usual, but I really want to get into more of his comic work. I really do want to, because I love his film so much. I want to see how that kind of vision and how some of his ideas translate the comics format a little more in depth, because I haven't read much from him. Hence, read this kind of of sorts. Let me make a bit of space here. There we go. Spaghetti westerns of sorts, and it's book one, so that's the other good thing. First, I was a little concerned because it kind of just really jumped into something, and I thought maybe I was hoping that it wasn't a second book that I picked up. Although it does say right there, bouncer. So it took me a little bit to kind of into the world and stuff. The art is pretty incredible. But once I got into the story, I mean, the brutality of things is I don't know, it's sometimes it's still a little shocking to me, some of the lengths that people will go in some of these stories. One thing that does kind of get to me more and more so the older I get, again, maybe I've discussed this before, but the idea of the bad guys doing horrible, horrible shit, but then also showing them raping women is something that I don't know. It just doesn't. Not that it. This is not that it ever well, but it's just such an overused trope that it kind of I don't know. It kind of falls flat for me now, and it becomes a little. I don't know. It makes me a little uncomfortable. It also makes me a little disappointed when I see that sort of thing happening to these are bad dudes. Again, it that was by no means as graphic as uh, sometimes you're in some of, but it really does set up this world of these gray coats, these Confederates kind of roaming the lands, and then we jump to another family who's living kind of on their own, and we get a sense of like that there's these ruins that the son is exploring. The father is a priest of some sort. We don't quite know the full story yet. And he's waiting. He's said prayers, but he's going to wait for his son to get home so they can all eat as a family. But his son has discovered a tomb and in it found some guns, brings it back to his father, and we kind of that's kind of sparks that we get about the father, that he used to be a gunfighter. These guns have his name in them. We eventually come to find out that Death himself has fashioned these guns for him when he was younger, and emblazoned his names. Then our two kind of worlds collide, and we figure out that they're brothers. The son is told to hide under the floorboards, and if anything is to happen to his father or mother, he's supposed to go into town and look for Bouncer, who we eventually find out that Bouncer is also his brother. So all three of these, and once all those kind of ties have made, his poor father gets decapitated, and some great, it's like him under the floorboards with his father's blood dripping on him and stuff. Um, Pretty grisly. It's not a pleasant ride, this first book. As a lot of times, especially within the spaghetti western genre, it's a fairly graphic and violent world that they throw you in. But that's all kind of set up to the sweet, sweet revenge that you know is going to come. But because it's Jodorowsky, who knows how that's going to come? I'm curious to see, especially with this kind of basic setup, it's going to, or if he's going to throw something, just has only one eye. One of the brothers has only one arm. The brother who was the priest was intact until he lost his head. So there's some symbolism that I'm sure will be working its way in there. What that is right now, I don't know. It's all of these people with some sort of handicap, though, entering the world. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was a pretty great story, though. Once the kid finds Bouncer and Bouncer sees the guns, bit of history of was like their mother was a whore, and she kind of started giving birth to children at age 11. Um, yeah. So 11, she gives birth to the first son. At 13, the second, and I believe yes, right here, by the time she was 15, she was pregnant again. She threw herself down a mountain to get rid of me. So that's when Bouncer was born. So Bouncer's the younger of the three brothers. And then it just kind of tells this bit of a story about this badass mother that they had, who just grew to really hate men except for her sons. And then we get a little bit of history of they stole a diamond from a train, and that's the one that's through it. And here's where the brother loses an eye. I liked it. I mean, like I said, once I kind of got my bearings and got into it, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to keep my eyes open for other books. Yeah, like I said, the unfortunate thing is it's not something that I find as much around town. Humanoids, even brand new humanoids. It may have to bite the bullet and order online. I should actually check out their. Wait, I don't know if I've ever looked. Yes. So when I posted that she'd heard the series, so yeah, I enjoyed it. And since I was in the Jodorowsky kick, I decided this has been sitting on my shelf for a little while now. I decided to give the White Llama a shot, and again, this is book one, the first step, and I really like this one a lot, actually. The thing with Jodorowsky and the worlds that he creates, I've said it before, um, and you can be however you want. This is no judgment on anybody else. I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in God. I've never have been religious, but there's something about Jodorowsky's world and his views, and how he how he views like spirituality, and that is incredibly appealing to me. And this book is really ties in religion and spiritualism into magic. And I find that really appeals to me. And again, because I'm looking at a comic, or I'm looking at a graphic novel, those really work for me, and I find myself just absolutely loving every last bit of it. Not much of a spoiler, just this whole book that you want to read, you might not. So I'm going to kind of talk about this first book. So there's a Dalai Lama in Tibet who has had a vision in a dream. Um, hey Volstix, how are you? Uh, vision in a dream that his time is incarnated one last time. He'd be his last form. So him telling his followers on a map what area I'm born into and giving them instructions when I'm 3 years old. Bring me here and ask me to pick the 4 items of my personal possession, and that's how you know that it's me. And then, just incredible. This page, he kind of sits down and kind of just starts focusing his energy and blows the top of his freaking head open, which then creates this big storm. So surprising, the first situation where we see a little bit of this kind of magic element. So when he finally does die, it starts his body actually starts shrinking. It starts raining flowers outside, and eventually he turns into a small golden Buddha. Um, and there's a beautiful golden glow emitting from him that radiates throughout the land, and it's just fucking beautiful. Like, it's really, really beautiful. It really just works for me. And again, everything within me tells me it shouldn't work for me and it shouldn't be something that appeals to me. But there's something about his storytelling and there's something about his worlds that I really find fascinating. Um, So it kind of goes from there. A couple of white people, or three white people rather, one of them who's obviously coming through to tame the savages over to the proper side of religious beliefs, kind of get introduced to the story in some really great scenes as well. And just as they're about to decide if they want to kill the white couple, one of whom is pregnant, though, or one of whom is pregnant. The woman is pregnant in this. It's pairing. Magician comes in and tells everybody to leave them be, and starts floating there, and just kind of floating around, sets a guy's hat on fire, and as quickly as he appears, he just up and disappears. They spare the couple, and we kind of follow through their story. Um, these have kind of joined together in the chapter The Murdering Gods. They get the gods of death coming in the house and wanting a sacrifice of the Tibetan couple's baby, which does happen. The white baby is spared, or the mother of the white baby is stabbed, and as she's dying, she gives birth to her son, and the Tibetan parents are told that they're to take care of the baby. So they kind of go through their own rituals, dunking the baby in the ice cold water, I think 8 times, 7 times, to see if he can withstand the cold and not die, which he does. So good world building and setting up. The priest comes back into the picture, everybody to Christianity as they go on a shooting spree and destroys and shoot a bunch of the Tibetans, kill a bunch of the Tibetans, and kind of jump ahead 3 years. A Tibetan kid is uh, put in front of the objects that have been scented, so he'll be attracted to them on purpose and pick the items so he can be the next Dalai Lama. Yeah, it captured me. Both of these really captured me. This one may be a little more than Bouncer, although the growth in Bouncer, I can see this really growing into something great. I'm hoping, but this one really just really caught me by surprise and really appealed to me to read. So there you go. Those two. So just briefly, um Volstix, I think you were here last night. I'm not going to go through all. Yeah, the color palettes are fantastic. I've just been watching. It seems like I go in big chunks when it comes to Earl Grey's videos. I don't watch on a regular basis. There's actually not that many people that I watch on a regular basis anymore. But every once in a while, a video of his will come up, and I'll just take the moment and kind of watch a bunch of videos that I missed. So I just finished watching about 5 or 6 of his videos, and those European books really just makes me foam at the mouth, salivate, because they're just the layouts and the art in those European all sorts of books, whether it's sci-fi, western, whatever it is, crime. Pardon me, excuse me. The style really, really appeals to me, and I just wish that I had more access or there was more of that stuff reprinted in English. Franz Masriel. No, I didn't watch the latest one. That's one that just came up in my subscription feed. I haven't watched it yet. I saw that one, and that reminded me that, oh shit, I haven't watched a bunch of his videos for a while, so I just kind of went to his page and watched a bunch. I've been watching some of the best of 2017. I just watched the crime one and some amazing stuff in there. What do you think of the Alax Sinner stuff? Remind me about that. That doesn't sound Earl Grey Hill is John. Absolutely. Um, so just briefly to talk about special person. Hey, how are you doing? Um, also let Gus mine the comics. Oh, that's a don't know, John. I'll have to that one out. I don't want to go through this whole stack. I don't want to do a replay basically of the video yesterday that I took down, but I did just want to point out a couple of the books. Um, Two specifically. So this is stuff that I bought from a guy locally. The story I was telling last night was that there's a couple of well, there's a number of guys locally and all over the place that end up buying collections. Of course, when you buy collections, there's going to be books that you either don't want, don't have any sale, or just don't whatsoever. A couple of the guys that I've been talking to, one of them I picked up this stack of books from, and it was more kind of adult comics. Um, yes, special person, both dope and solid, absolutely. He had a lot of adult comics, and he was asking me, do you like adult comics? And I said, well, I mean, really depends. Some of them, yes, some of them, no. I mean, some of the art in the Carnal Comics line, for example, just doesn't appeal to me. Um, so he sent me a couple of pictures, and this was on top of one of the stacks. And what often happens with this stuff, uh, Sinner Die Comics, really John. Okay. Pupil of Hugo Pratt's. Oh man, these comments they just fade too fast. Um, no, I don't want to do that. Sorry, everybody. I don't know how I get that back. I think I do know what you're talking about. And no, I haven't read that. So when these guys get this that they don't want, yes, it's adult stuff, but mixed in with it, I'm always convinced that there's going to be some underground stuff, and this particular time there did happen to be, and they were both of these. This is issue number 2 and 3 of Barbarian Comics. It was only a 4 issue run. I have issue number 1 already. So based on the photos, I bought a stack of books from him. Um, and he was selling them kind of as lots, so it wasn't like I could pick and choose, which is fine. For the most part, the ones that I got, I'm interested in. There's only a couple that I'm not as interested in. Uh, yeah, pretty interesting. I haven't sat and read them. They're next. That's why they're out of the bags. They're next to read tonight, because there's a couple of stories that I do want to check out. When I was reading about them on Comics Joint, apparently issue number 3 is the one that he rated had the most appeal. Issue 1 and 2, he wasn't as taken. The one is a comic. Oh wow, raw inky blackness, beautiful, highly recommended, awesome. Um, on the inside front cover and the inside back cover, you get these really cool pieces. This one being my favorite out of the two. Really, really great. That would be a fantastic poster. As he said on Comics Joint as well, that it would be a fantastic poster. And there's the inside there. So 48 pages. A mix of artists in them. Not a lot of artists that I know. We'll just flip through it. But some of the style I really do like. And this guy for sure, this Crom. I think this Crom appears in number 3. And the thing with some of these underground artists, they have such a unique sensibility that there's oh yes, Crime Comics Anthology. Yes, I do have that book, that big thick Crime Comics. Isn't that up here? Let me just point at it up there. Very best crime comics. Is that the one you're talking about right there? They just have a mix of familiar styles, but somehow make it their own. This really reminds me of Jack Jackson, actually, that story. But when you're dealing with these fantasy barbarians, you're just some into some territory that's of just classic barbarian sinners in there. Okay, that's I've had. I'll pull it out. The unique art takes on things. I mean, these pages are, again, I've said it many times that there's something about the amateurish nature of some of this stuff that also really appeals to me. Not as polished guys that are doing this work because they just love it and they just need to, is always something that appeals. Here we go. There's another Corbin, who all Corbin just appears all over the place in underground comics, even if it's just a style. In comics, then we get a space story. Very curious. This is one of the to read and see what the hell is going on here. Let me just flip to. There's one story in here specifically that I just love the art. Here we go. Script and graphics by W.A. Meugniot, Meugniot. I know that I butchered that name, and I apologize to you and your family and your children's children. Um, it's really Mara. It's really Ben Mara looking with these figures and the way that these things are shaded. Um, just really story appeals to me a lot. Is this Crom again too? Is this the same previous issue? Yeah, definitely. These are next, for sure. Next read. So that was a nice score. Not something that to find by any stretch. Like I said, there is only 4 issues in this series, and then it turned into Barbarian Women, and I've got all those already. I think I have all 4 of those, 3 or 4 of those. I can't remember how many issues just on the. And again, I won't show you all of the comics. We'll kind of just flip through them here, through all of them. Yeah, really. Hey, it totally does, doesn't it? It's I haven't done any research on the artist yet to see what his story is or where he came. As soon as I saw that page, it's completely so stack of books that I got from this guy. Bad Girls, Elementals, Sex Special, which kind of took me by surprise, um, just for how graphic those 2 books actually are. Extremely graphic in there. Mooney, Moonchild, The Star Babe, The Adventures of Misty. This kind of style appeals to me as well. Has that very European look to it. Has a Frank Thorne kind of look to it, which is great because also managed to score the first 6 issues of the Erotic Worlds of Frank Thorne. And again, I'm not going to go through the trouble of opening all these up. Just know that this is some fantastic work. And one of the things that I do love about the few Frank Thorne things that I do have, he usually includes a lot of photos from his photo references that he uses for his art, which is mostly him and I'm assuming his wife dressed up as all these kind of babes, and him dressed up as like a wizard or some redneck hillbilly hick with a chicken in his hands, and this sort of thing. While she's dressed up as Moonshine McJugs. Yeah, Night Business is great. I've got those as well from what was his label? Traditional Comics. Is that what it was? Um, so these are a really good score, and it's one of the things that sold me the books. He was kind of kicking himself because he's like, "Holy shit, you're getting these." When I looked on some of these books are going for like 15 to, and I probably paid like $1.50 a book, kind of thing, because I was and I assured him, I said, "Listen, I have no intention. I'm not that guy who's buying these books and then turning around to resell them to make a profit." I said, honestly, I really like Frank Thorne and I really just want these in my collection. And I appreciate it. The other story that I was saying, yeah, there's a little bit of Paul Gulacy as well there too. Yeah, for sure. Um, the other thing that he kind of dropped in passing, he's like, I've also got these books by, I don't know, it's that French artist, and he does like, are you talking about? Like, yes, that's it, that's it. I've got like 14 of those, and those are really worth some money. Hey, because I guess he'd been looking at all his kind of oddities, and I'm like, yeah, those are worth some money, and inside kind of cringing. So I'm hoping that I can get some of those from him as well to talk to him yet. Gray Morrow, another name that has come up once or twice for me as well. Still in that kind of same world, that same world. Really, that style. As you can see, a lot of line stuff, which I don't come across out in the wild at all. When it's one or two titles, it's just not something that I see a lot of. And then, so tonight, I was talking to a different guy in town, and he has a box of like 50 to 75 more adult titles. Actually, he's got a bunch of Omaha the Cat in there, as the Cat Dancer in there as well. But he also has a few of these, and ones that I don't already have. This Xenophile, which is an interesting title. The more I looked into it, as I was kind of flipping through the issues last night, there's a lot of bigger name artists that just do dirty comics. I really like Omaha the Cat Dancer as well. Yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked it when I started reading it. I never thought it would be something that would appeal to me, but I really got into it. I said I have the first 12. So this one is an interesting title just for the people that he's asked to ink his work. And it's just all sorts of dirty things. Takeoffs on like ElfQuest. So very, very satirical and really poking fun at things. Um, so yeah, I mean, pretty interesting stuff for sure. So I'm hoping that this guy I've been speaking to tonight, it depends on how out of those 50 and 75, if there's only like 5 of them that I'm really want, because he only wants to sell the box. He doesn't want to sell them off piecemeal because I'm looking for like a buck. Just really comics. I'm a little embarrassed to have him in his, I think. So he just wants to get rid of them. So I don't know. I'd really have to see what's in there because I don't want to buy just a bunch of, like I said, carnal comics crap that just holds no appeal to me. Anyway, that's that. I hope that I tried to keep camera as possible. But yeah, I mean, if you do find yourself in a um, yeah, give it a other one. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments. He might be doing something with Josh Bears. Are you still talking about Mara? Because yes, Mara is doing stuff with All Time Comics. He's doing a bunch of things with them actually. I think he did a lot of the art. And Josh Beyer is yeah, Josh Beyer is an interesting character. Some of his stuff I really like, and some I don't. What it was that anthology? Was it called Future Shock? I think was that a Josh Beyer thing or Bayer? Um, just thinking, I have nothing on graph. Okay, yeah, understood. That's it. Thanks very much for joining me. Uh, this video will stay in existence. I won't delete this one. I feel good about this one. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys always tuning in and watching me live and commenting. It does make it enjoyable. I had a moment today where oh, Suspect Device. Yeah, no, that's a different anthology. So maybe I'm thinking of something else for Future Shock. Maybe I'm thinking Burgraph. But yes, Suspect Device is pretty damn good because that's all with Nancy and Garfield and stuff, isn't it? Where they just tear that whole comic strip a new asshole and just run absolute chaos. I had a moment today of just, what am I doing making these videos? Who the hell is watching this stuff? Have I crossed a line showing all these nudie books and stuff? You know what I mean? So I did have a moment, and that's also why, like I said last night, I just deleted that video after it went. I just had to about it. So I do watch, and it's all about the conversation. Yeah, you're right. That's the one. Yeah, but I'll be back. Be talking books, and I'll always be talking about stuff. For the hell we're talking about. It's just good to know that this kind of stuff exists on YouTube because when I'd started, there was a lot of yeah, boobs are fine with me too. There was a lot of stuff that I was into that I just wasn't seeing videos about, and that's always been something I've wanted to do with this channel is talk about comics that don't always. I really appreciate that, Volstix. Thank you very much to say that. That's really nice of you. Um, I've always wanted to kind of have content available out there of some lesser known books and stuff that just doesn't get talked about because there's a whole world of comics and entertainment out there. So I think it's important that everything gets some airtime. So when a guy like me comes along, and I have had those comments even on older videos, even just recently, people discovering my videos and going, holy shit, I can't believe somebody's talking about these books on YouTube. This is fantastic. It makes me feel good that I'm contributing in some way to keeping the history and just keeping some of these creators' names on the tips of people's tongues, and hopefully getting people looking through those little closer and pulling normally pull out. That's enough stroking my own ego here. Thanks a lot, guys. Uh, yeah, it's always nice to talk about more obscure and arty comics. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that very much. You guys are the best. We'll talk to you later. I'll be back. You know I will.